One of my favorite ways to catch them is on top water. I mean, I know everybody loves to watch bass explode on top. And one of the best baits, especially in the past few years, to catch fish on a top water is on a Whopper Plopper. You know, there's some other baits kind of do the same thing, but this style bait has really been catching a lot of fish, especially for me. There's a lot of different sizes. I like the 110 size. It's kind of a good middle ground. They make them bigger, they make them smaller. I like a bait that it's going to entice a bigger fish to bite, but it also will get those smaller ones too, because you want to get enough bites. You don't just want to single yourself out to 1 or 2 bites a day. So I like to throw a good medium size on the 110. The key with the Whopper Plopper is you want to get it, you want to figure out what type of cover the fish are around, and then you want to cover as much water with it as possible. It's a numbers game. You've literally got to cover 10 miles of water with it, it seems like. But once you dial it in, if they're on shallow rock, if they're on wood, if they're on the ends of docks, whatever that cover is, then you run that pattern. You can have a lot of fun with a Whopper Plopper. You know, just like this little point coming up. Maybe they're on these little points. You want to throw it. Really, I like throwing it right to the bank and then coming off or paralleling down the bank. Keep that bait in the strike zone as long as you can, and you're going to have some of the most explosive strikes that you've ever had in your life when you're throwing one of these baits. It's just amazing, and it's really addictive when they get on it. And the cool thing, smallmouth spotted bass or largemouth, sometimes all three in one day, will eat this bait. When they're keying on something on top, especially when they're in that shallow water zone, this is a great bait to go to. When you're throwing the Whopper Plopper, you need the right equipment. So this is a fairly large bait. Even though this is the middle, kind of the middle-sized bait that they sell, you've got some big hooks here, and you've got a big bait. So you've got to pair the right equipment with that, or your day's just not going to go good with a Whopper Plopper. For me, you know, you need a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. You need a faster reel to keep up with that bait, because you're going to cover water with a trolling motor. You need Seaguar Smackdown braid, because you don't want any stretch. When that fish gets it, you're going at him with a trolling motor. You need that, no stretch to get the hook in the fish. But the main key for me is MHX FS904. Now you need a rod that's going to take a big hit. This rod is going to take it. You know, I throw a frog on this rod. I do a lot of other things on this rod, and it can simply take the punishment of that braid and the big rod. So I learned my lesson throwing lighter wire hooks with the Whopper Plopper. You're going to bend them out. These are 4X hooks. This is what comes on these baits. This is absolutely what you've got to have. If you have anything less than that, you're going to get your heart broke when a big one eats it. So that being said, with big hooks, you need a pretty good size rod. This is a 7/6, which allows me to make a really long cast. Keeps my bait in the strike zone longer, gives you more opportunities. But it's a heavy action rod, and it's a really durable rod. So you can set the hook, and you're not worried about that rod breaking on you. This rod's going to give you a lot of years of life throwing the Whopper Plopper. Plus, this is a really heavy bait. I don't know the exact weight on this bait, but it's probably, you know, an ounce or maybe heavier, who knows. But this rod is going to be able to throw that for you and help it perform. But the cool thing about this rod is, even though it's a heavy action, it does have a little bit of parabolic bend through the middle. So when you do hook those fish on these treble hooks, it will keep that fish stuck, and you're going to land that fish in the boat. So rod is really key. If you want to throw a Whopper Plopper, call MHX up, call Mudhole up, get an MHX FS904, and you're going to have some fun.